Hey guys, what's up? Good morning and welcome back to Roots Refuge Farm. It is quite crisp outside. I just have to tell you, I walked out this morning about 7:30 and I was like, wow, it feels like fall out here. Good morning, Will.
Good morning.
You getting layered up?
Yeah, you have to for the okra. I'll be itching for 3 hours straight.
Yeah, I always have to put sleeves on to harvest okra or else I'll get hives.
I can't get the soap to get it off. It just stays there for a long time.
I'm about to get some stuff to make fire cider. I'm going to dig up a little bit of that ginger.
Sounds good. I want to try some.
I'll make you some. On my way to the garden, little detour. The little ducks keep getting out. These ducklings are growing so fast. That is duck for Mom. What's for breakfast? What's for breakfast? When's breakfast? Can we have breakfast? They're ready to be fed. And then here's our little dinosaurs. Good morning, birdies. Good morning. Sad day. I just took a drink of my coffee and realized there were some little buggies in there. That's what I get for setting it down in the morning while I'm doing this stuff. So the wild, largely volunteer garden is kind of coming to a close. It's getting pretty weedy in here. We're still harvesting. Will's bringing his scythe, and we're going to scythe down a lot of this holy basil so I can dry it for tea. Come on, get out of there. I don't want you in there. And we're still picking cowpeas out of here. Kind of a lot of cowpeas, actually. And I've kind of been just trying to hold on to the tail end before I put the chickens in here. But we're getting pretty close to that. Will was getting ready to pick okra. That's one thing that we're still getting a good deal out of here is from these okra plants. And I'm really just not quite ready for that to be over with yet. I think if we put the chickens in there, we could probably still harvest the okra because obviously it's up out of their reach. And the stalks are big enough around the bottom that I don't think that they will actually damage those plants. So we may be able to just put them in and still get the okra, but I don't know. We'll see. Things are still rocking in here. I've got peppers for, I would even say peppers for days, but I have peppers for months in here. There's so many peppers. But that's not what I'm coming in here for today. And back here, I've got some ginger. I'm not going to harvest all of it because I think it'll get bigger if I leave it alone. But I'm going to pull a little bit out because I'm trying to make a recipe that calls for ginger, and I don't want to go buy some from the store when I have some growing here in my high tunnel. I picked my first beets out of the high tunnel a few days ago. I was making pickled eggs and I needed beet juice to put in there because they're beet pickled eggs, and I haven't eaten any yet because they have to sit for at least a week in the fridge before they're ready enough to eat. But I came out and I grabbed beets and peppers and I snapped a picture of it because it was just such a beautiful, vibrant, colorful harvest. But also it very much brought again that feeling of like, oh wow, we're really here. It's fall. Like once I start harvesting root vegetables, I'm really keenly aware of the change of season because we don't grow stuff like that in the summer here. This ginger, I planted this last year, and I planted it kind of mid-season last year, and it took a little while to get going, and I decided to just leave it because you can leave ginger, and where it may die back in the winter, it typically will come back. Well, it took a while to come back, so I'm not 100% sure what to expect here, but I figured we would give it a shot. I bet there's some usable ginger in here. Oh yeah. These clusters are a little on the smallish side, so I'm going to go down here and dig from a different plant that's a little bit bigger. All of these are rutabagas in here. That's where I dug the beets the other day. I think next year I may start like a lot of ginger kind of earlier on in the season, maybe before even the last frost date in the spring, and then move it out and grow it outside. I think this went kind of slow because the shade cloth on the high tunnel, it doesn't need shade cloth. It would do better from having the sun, I think. Well, I didn't really mean for all of that to come off, but oh, this will definitely give me what I need. So more ideally when you plant ginger, you know, you want to have your knobs separated where you don't have quite as many plants growing closely together. You'll get more root. But as it went, it's okay. I mean, I did next to nothing for this. I threw in some store-bought ginger rhizomes last year that had started to sprout and left them. And so, I mean, I'll take this for such little work. So I've got this. Good. I'm gonna leave the rest out here because it will just keep growing and getting bigger. I have some hot peppers in my house already. I want hot peppers for my fire cider, or some people call it master tonic. I have a recipe for that on my blog. I'll put a link to that. This is the time of year that I like to make sure that I'm getting that going, because fire cider takes about 6 weeks to be where you want it to be as far as everything being melded and kind of fermented and everything. So you typically want to start that 6 to 8 weeks like before peak cold season, so you've got it whenever you need it. So usually mid-September I try to make sure I get a good couple batches of fire cider going, as well as making sure that I have elderberry made. I have a recipe for elderberry as well. So we just want to make sure that our herbal medicine cabinet is stocked with the basic stuff, so that when, you know, our kids, we have a lot of kids, they go to school, they go to an incredibly small little private school, but still they're around a lot of other people, and so germs get spread and they end up coming home feeling puny, and this is just a nice thing to kick that. And I've got the stuff, so might as well go ahead and make it, right? So I've got the hot peppers in the house because I picked a bunch of those this week, and I've been processing hot peppers, so I just need a few. I have garlic already in the house. I need some rosemary. That's the other thing I gotta find in the garden. I'm pretty sure I have some in a pot in the raised bed garden. Oh, look at her, she wild. Let's come in here. The killdeers are hollering because bear's out here. Alright, yep, here's my rosemary. Doing just fine. Rosemary's perennial. It'll live in this pot for a long time. I should have grabbed some scissors though, because it's pretty firm. I do believe that the fall garden in this state, wild and overgrown, full of the remnants of what was, as well as what's new coming on, may be one of my most favorite ways of the garden. Check that out. Nice zucchini. I used to would have unequivocally, is that the right word? Said that the summer was it for me. You know, full swing in the tomatoes, full swing in all the other stuff. Obviously it was like, yeah, that's the garden that I love the most. But I think right now, I think September, October, that savoring that last bit of the season before the frost comes, where the fall stuff is coming in, but the summer stuff is still trickling. I love this. I love this so much. All right, it's getting kind of bright out here. I wanted to share something with you guys this morning. I actually had this sitting out on the counter last night, and I was gonna come out and shoot a video yesterday evening, but I was cooking dinner, and all of a sudden I turned around and looked outside. It was like 7:25, and it was like super dusky, like almost dark, and I thought I had another 30 minutes. So I called Jackson in, my 17-year-old son, and I was like, hey buddy, can you come finish cooking dinner for me so I can go outside? And he's like, yeah Mom, I got it. Well, then I couldn't find the magazine. I'd set it down somewhere, so I had to search for it for 10 minutes. I had accidentally set something on top of it, and by the time I found it, it was dark outside, and I was like, man, okay, we are thoroughly in the change of seasons. I'm gonna have to adjust. That every single year, I've been making content for 5 years, 5.5 years now, consistently, regularly, several times a week. And every single year, when the days start to get shorter, it throws me off so bad. So, yesterday, I opened the mail and this magazine was in it. It was sent to me by my friend Ginger. Ginger she's my friend, but she also, you know, we do business with McMurray Hatchery, and they're also our dear friends. But Ginger had commented once years ago on a video that I had made sharing about the chicken way. So I will share this again in case you are newer here. And the hummingbirds are joining us, and I'm not going to turn the camera on because by the time I do, you're not going to be able to see them. But when I was starting out in homesteading, I guess really before I started out, when I was in my classroom, let me put it that way, I wanted this life so badly. I had dreamed of it for so long. And I actually used to order the Murray McMurray catalog, as well as like Baker Creek's catalog, like any catalog I could get. And I would read through them and actually memorize what was in them, all of the facts and the information that they share. I would read it so much and just like commit it to memory because I wanted it so bad, and I was in a position that I couldn't. We lived in a rental house in town. I did not have permission to have chickens or gardens or any of that stuff. I had pots and containers, and I grew peppers and beans and stuff in my flower beds in front of my house. And I desperately longed, to the point of heart sickness. There's a place where you want something so bad, but it's out of reach, that it literally starts to physically hurt, and your heart gets sick, and you begin to lose hope. And I was very much in that place. Jackson, who is now 17, when he was like 5 or 6, Jeremiah asked him, what do you want to give Mom for Christmas? And he said, I know what she wants. She wants catalogs. She gets so excited when they come. And I did. I would get so excited because it was like this one little link to the life that I was dreaming of. And anyway, when we bought our land out in Arkansas, our first farm, we were, 30-minute drive outside of town, and I had this particular way that I would drive home, that I would drive past every house that I knew of that had chickens. And Jeremiah would be with me, and we would be driving home, and he'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you going this way? This takes longer. And I'm like, it's the chicken way. Because I wanted to drive past the houses with chickens because I wanted to see them. Because I wanted chickens so badly. And, we moved into our house, and there was like this period before we were able to get chickens. And it was just like we were so close to having the fulfillment of the dream, and still so far away, and I was dealing with that heart sickness and that longing. And so I drove the chicken way. And I drove longer, 10 minutes longer to get home, and snaked all around these back roads to pass by all the houses with chickens. And I remember sharing that story once on a vlog, and sharing about how I realized that when I turn the camera on, I essentially get to be part of your chicken way. Whenever you're longing for this, I get to turn this camera on and open this window into my life and let you look in and drive by on the way to your dream coming true. So yesterday, Ginger has often referenced that story, that really had touched her heart. I mean, whenever that was, 2018, 19, somewhere in that range, early on. And she messaged me some weeks ago, and I took these photos for McMurray for the catalog last year. These are my chickens out in that garden that I was just talking about putting the chickens back in. You can see all the zinnias growing in these pictures. And Ginger had messaged me and said she wanted to use these pictures for this ad that they were doing for this chickens magazine. During my time of longing for the chicken way, the reason why I got the McMurray catalog to dream about having chickens was because I couldn't afford to buy this magazine. It really was that impossible to have anything because we didn't have any money at all, and I didn't buy magazines. Magazines cost too much for somebody without any money at all. And yesterday when I opened this and I just turned over and I saw these pictures in my garden of my chickens, printed by my friends who own this company that used to be kind of my link to this dream, I just had one of those real moments of gratitude, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it was 9 years ago, like 9.5, that I was driving past the chickens because I couldn't have them. It was 11 years ago that I was poring over catalogs and memorizing the information because I couldn't even afford the magazine. And I think that that's important to know. I think it's often easy, especially like looking through this window into my glass house here, to go, wow, you have so much. You have my dream life. I wish that I had that. But it's probably also really easy to feel like it's very unattainable, that it's absolutely impossible, that it's completely out of reach. And when I opened the mail and I saw these pictures, and I just thought, my God, a lot can change in 10 years, you know? Heart sickness can truly turn into like a tree of life in 10 years. And I wanted to share that with you guys because it wasn't that long ago that I was driving 10 minutes longer home to be able to look at chickens. This is a big deal to me. Also, can we talk about how awesome aprons are? I feel like I have not utilized aprons enough. I have aprons and I've used them for cooking, but I've really taken to just waking up and putting them on in the morning because I wear a lot of dresses, and though they have pockets, I mean, they can only hold so much. Check this out. I've got my magazine, my rosemary, my zucchini, my phone's in there. I got everything I need out here. Are you chasing the cats? Hey, Avocado. What's up, girl? Hey, little cutie. Avocado is a really great barn cat. She does not want to be touched. Like if I were to try to pet her, yeah, she's walking away. Zucchini is the one who will be right underfoot all the time. Speaking of zucchini, here's another one of the vegetable variety, not the cat variety. This morning, just kind of in the same line of thinking about the chicken way and how much things have changed and kind of going back in remembrance. I looked on Facebook while I was drinking my coffee, and there was a post on our Friends Roots Refuge page by someone named Erica, and she was talking about moving to the farm that she's dreamed of for so long, and dealing with all like the creepy crawlies and the snakes, and being like, wow, everybody talks about the beautiful part of homesteading, but there's this whole aspect that I don't know if I'm cut out for, you know, more or less. And it really made me think back of the early stages of my dream. And it's so funny, as much as I wanted it for so long, it still took massive adjustment to like change the way that I lived. And interestingly, I wrote an article at that point, and I shared it. I responded to her in the group, kind of talking about when we moved out to our farm. I had lived in the city my whole life, or in suburban neighborhoods my whole life, and I was not prepared for like the creepy crawlies. I was not prepared. It was such a different way of living, and I had to go through, like, honestly, kind of some grief for my whole life. Even though I really wanted the farm life, I still had to process the fact that like my life had changed drastically, and the way that I lived was changing drastically. And I wrote an article then, and I went back this morning and read it. And it's called Becoming Country. I wrote for like a local magazine for a handful of years there in Arkansas called Due South, and I'll put a link to this article down below too. It actually is the first time I ever publicly shared the whole idea of like waiting rooms make good classrooms, you know, and kind of sharing where I had been and where I was in that moment, because we did not own chickens. I wrote this article while I was driving the chicken way, and it was just sort of sweet that I was planning on posting this, or, you know, making this video and sharing about the magazine last night, and it got delayed, and then this morning I ended up being kind of led back to this thing that I wrote from the depths of my heart during that season. And I don't know, I think it probably could encourage a few of you, so I'll put a link to it. And thank you guys for sharing your journeys as well. It's really important, you know, like, we often think that we're sharing our journey for the people who are 2 steps behind us, when in actuality, that's not the only people that it helps. Sometimes it puts the person who's 10 years in front of us into remembrance of when they were where we currently are. And I don't know that I've ever really fully grasped that in sharing on this platform. I have a lot of comments from people whose babies are grown and who have been doing the homesteading life for 30 years. And I always have this feeling of like, man, what in the world could I possibly have to teach those people? Because they've lived so much more life than me. But I think that being able to offer also just the perspective of remembrance is so valuable. So Erica, thanks for sharing on the Facebook group. And Ginger, thanks for putting my pictures on the magazine. Just an emotional mess. Gosh, fall makes me a mess. I'm so weepy and deep and all this stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. It is my great joy to be part of your chicken way. It really is. I can't even tell you. I bless you guys. Until next time.